interview with Broadcast Team Alpha. I'm Nori Love, and my guest today is the amazing Keith Anthony Blanchard, also known as Sri Nanava. Was that right?
Yanava.
Oh my goodness. Sri Yanava. Sri Yanava. Beautiful. So he's an author, and he's got multiple books that you can go see at centeroflightradio.com. He's got The Divine Principle for the Love of God, which was his journey to India. And he has a children's book series, Eden Sky Wonders Why. Beautiful. Hi, Keith.
Hi.
Hi, so good to see you again. I'm really excited.
Pleasure to see you and be with you again, yes.
Oh, so you hung out with the Swami this weekend. So
Yeah.
I am unfamiliar with him. So tell me who he is and the magic that happens.
Swamiji, his name is Sri 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 Viswamji Viswa Yogi Maharaj.
Oh my gosh.
He is the embodiment of Lord Dattraya or Lord Datta. Very high level of God. I mean, it's the Godhead, connected. Viswamji Viswa Yogi, over the course of his life through meditation and prayer, connected with Lord Datta. So basically, though there's Viswamji as the individual, there is no separation from Viswamji and the Godhead. This is his 9th incarnation on planet Earth.
Wow.
He was here thousands upon thousands of years ago as the first God fire illumined individual to walk on this planet. He is on Earth now. He travels all over the world nonstop. Does not sleep. Does not eat.
He doesn't
do any of these human things. He's a pillar of light. He happens to be in Memphis at this time, and we just had our first World Peace Rally in Memphis. And yesterday, we did a question and answer. Something like this has never taken place, that God, or at least Swamiji, would allow people to come into his proximity and ask very important questions about what they felt they needed to know in their life. So basically, 8 people had the opportunity to ask God questions.
Wow.
And the transmission was just beautiful.
Wow. So Lord Datta, I'm unfamiliar with that person. For other people who are unfamiliar with Lord Datta, how could you explain that to us, or to people who don't have any reference point?
I'm on his website now. His website. It's not like he created himself a website. But this is who Swamiji is. I'll read just a little bit. His Holiness Bhagavan Sri 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 Viswayogi Viswamji Maharaj is a spiritual humanist who is an embodiment of divine and unconditional love, universal integration, peace, love, brotherhood, service to needy people, and propagation of human values are some of the goals of Bhagavan Sri 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 Viswayogi Viswamji Maharaj. Let me skip a little bit. Swamiji is considered as Lord Dattraya's 9th avatar, 9th avatarship, 9th incarnation.
I see.
Viswambhara, who descended into this world and into the universe. He advented in the person of Sri Viswayogi Viswamji Maharaj. He assumed an elemental human body so that humanity may approximate to divinity and can behold the blissful form of Brahma, creator, God, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Maheshwara, the annihilator, in one. The Datta Maharaj called Viswayogi Viswamji as Viswambhara, the great liberated, evolved soul.
Amazing.
Swamiji got a big size I can't pronounce the word, rosary. I'm trying to find all the points that bring us to this without all the extraneous stuff, so to speak.
I appreciate
The
that.
nature of Visva Yogi is purity, purity, purity. The creed of Visva Yogi is love, love, and divine love. The function of Visva Yogi is selfless help to the needy, the sick, the underprivileged, and to every aspect who tries to attain self-realization through surrender to God. He is verily the gem of purest ray. Wow! Inhabiting the earth today to unite humanity. That's who Swamiji is. Swamiji is the uniter. He is here bringing humanity to the top of the mountain.
Well, he's here right on time.
Yes.
You know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's allowing people into his proximity and having questions and answers at a really, really good time here on the planet. So Shri Yanava.
Yes. Ya is the sound of the heart,
Mm-hmm.
and it means it's will, willpower, will. Ya. Na is the mind, intellect.
Okay.
Va is the backbone, action. Ya, na, va. So whenever I gesture like this,
Yes.
I'm stating a very powerful intention to align to my soul, because Ya, na, va is the name of everyone's soul. We're just different fragments of Ya, na, va.
Beautiful.
So when I show intention through Ya, na, va as a gesture,
Yes.
I immediately become aligned with who I am. And it's very simple. It just requires a simple shift in intention.
Right.
But I've been doing this so long, like many of us, that for me, just to simply intend puts me in alignment with my Kundalini, with my Caduceus, up the medical staff,
Mhm.
all the way to the top of my crown chakra.
Mhm. Amazing. And Shri, is that like the way we address somebody?
Yes, it's a title,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Okay. Amazing. It kind of reminded me initially of the holiest name of God in why can't I think of it, in Kabbalah? So you're not even supposed to say it, but it's YHVH. So that kind of reminded me a little bit of that.
And you know, all forms, all names, well, not all, but most names of God are Ah,
Right.
Buddha, Krishna, Allah, Muhammad, Paramahansa Yogananda, Yahweh. They all have Ah. And if we think about the word Ah in and of itself, Ah means I understand something. Ah, I get it.
Yeah.
Or Ah. So if Ah are different forms of God's name, then it makes sense to me why Ah, I get it, is enlightenment. Someone tells you a joke or a riddle, you go, Ah, I get it. It's opening.
Interesting. I
Yes.
love that. I love that. And I know you don't like for me to call you a channel, but you do go with a state of intention into a place of openness where you make a connection. So
Yeah, you know, channel is the right word. It's just that so many people have perverted it, bastardized it, twisted it, made it into something it's not. And so the only reason it's not that I don't like it per se, I just choose to stay away from it because I don't want to plug into all the rhetoric, the hype, and the noise surrounding someone who has the ability. We all do. In fact, every person on this planet does this every day. Every person on this planet channels consciously.
right.
The trick is to become conscious of the fact that you channel, because you cannot exist in this meat suit. In fact, the you that is in the meat suit is you. That is the soul. You are the soul.
Yes.
And it takes a very simple acknowledging of it,
Yes.
just to be able to have the opportunity to play with it, to do what you want with your own self.
Yeah. Or to step aside, right? So you can discover that other part of you.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So people, like surgeons, can go into that state, right, during a long operation that they love doing, and they're in that state of flow, and artists and musicians and people who have crafts even, right?
Yes.
Like it's that moment where you're suddenly not aware of all this, but you're just in that moment and you're flowing with whatever it is that you're doing, right?
I'm committed.
Committed. I love it.
I'm engaged. I'm committed.
I love it. I love it. I know it happened for me. It started for me when I was a little girl, because I would always synchronistically end up at accident scenes. I mean, just really weird, like my next door neighbor was walking on the sidewalk and a car hit her. And this is back in the day when, like a lot of things like that did not happen. So that started it for me. And I recognized that something happened to me when I was with injured people or animals. Like I would open up to a different state of knowingness. And that's what eventually led me, into nursing, and then of course into coming out of the closet as a healer. So, do you think that's a form of channeling? You do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, anytime, even if someone was to ask you a question, hey, John Doe, blah, 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 immediately we turn inward to seek an answer to respond.
Right.
We're showing intention to fall inside. And so obviously when we answer, we went somewhere inside of ourselves to retrieve the answer and brought it back and we spoke it. So we're always connecting to the source of whatever information, to the memory bank, because the memory is not in our brain. Memory is not in our mind, right. Because when you die, your brain turns to worm food. So memory's not in the brain.
Right.
But memory's not in the mind either, because when you die, everything you know mind to be is going to be shattered. Right. But it does not mean that the brain and or the mind is not a facilitator of memory. Because when we do die and we have no brain and mind is shattered and we back into soul, if you was to reflect on what you did when you lived on earth, you have your memory because it's located in soul.
Right. Do you subscribe to the Akashic Record name? Yeah.
There is a very real place where everything that has ever been created, everything that exists now, just everything that has the potential to exist throughout infinity lives in this library, and there is a guard at the gate. And you state your intention, and if he decides to let you in, you get to walk into this library and find out any cosmic knowledge, anything.
That's amazing. Do you think we have to be a certain vibration to access that?
I think the vibration would definitely have to be one equal to responsibility, or you're not allowed in.
Right.
Until you vibrate responsibility, you are not setting foot in the parking lot.
Well, that's probably a really good thing. You know what I mean? Because you don't want people who are just going there for the heck of it or going there to fool around, to really have access to some of that information. So that makes 100% good sense to me.
Yeah, because, cosmic law is not going to let anyone into the cosmic library to screw around with their Dewey Decimal System to put everything out of order.
That was funny.
Right?
That's really funny. Absolutely. That's so funny. Well, and people with not so honorable intentions could
Absolutely
have access to that, which, I'm happy that there's a guard at the gate then.
Yes.
So do you think, we talked about the Swami being Swamji, being on time. Do you feel like we're doing spiritual warfare on the planet right now? Is that what you think is really going on?
That would be a term. I would say yes. But also the only way or reason I would disagree with that, which it's not really disagreement at all, it'll make sense. Yes, there's a spiritual war going on, and it does paint the picture for understanding and communication. Put the spiritual war aside now, there is no war. If this room was dark right now, for example, all I'm doing is that, even though my room is lit up and I shine this light, the light gets brighter and the dark just dissipates. So, if two people are fighting around Swamji, it can't happen. So in other words, the light is everywhere. the darkness is our own illusion, our perception of what we think things are happening.
Yeah.
So there's really no darkness per se. It's just that, because you can bet in the room that we have the light off tonight, I'm turning this light off to go to bed, that there are luminous beings everywhere around me.
Yeah.
My deceased mother, my deceased brother and sister, our loved ones, they're all around us. So it's not that it's really per se dark. It's just not in our bandwidth of.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So, you know, everybody has their own language, right, to describe what's going on. And I caught somebody's feed about like they're doing battle with Satan. So with what you just said, Satan would be the separation, or the what we perceive as darkness.
Excuse me one moment.
Sure.
You know, if we say it in passing, the darkness is Satan. It makes sense to me. We get hung up on that word, it loses everything that it could possibly mean to help someone understand the lesson. Maya, illusion, Satan, darkness, this, that. But it's not a Satan from the old world doctrine. Back then, language was simple. Translation was difficult.
Yeah.
Where is everything in between point A and point B, or point C or Z? Where's all this other stuff that we don't know about?
Yeah.
Because in the missing information is where you will find God. Because if we had all the puzzle pieces, we'd be living the prophecy. So God's reality is for those who really want it. That's why truth is so elusive. That's why no one can, not just anyone can go to the Akashic Hall of Records and monkey around with the files. You can't do it. You have to make yourself worthy. You have to want it as much as your next breath. And so the whole Satan thing, we don't have to get into that. It has really nothing to do with these demonic looking lizard beings that are pitch black with their, they look like shadow people, and they're going to make you squirm in hell for eternity.
Yeah.
This goes way beyond this nonsensical idea. This has to do with cosmic. If people really want to understand the whole demonic thing, we need to look to the extraterrestrial race of reptilians. This is what this is. This is these beings. Well, obviously, they're aliens because they're not of this level. They don't live on this plane, and because they're of another place. And obviously, they're extraterrestrials in the true sense of the word.
Right.
But we don't have to go into that. It's just, but yes, I understand the difference between how people are describing darkness as Satan, but that's really not what's happening. And as long as a person stays in the story that there is this being that is holding me back and doing this thing to me, you will never find spiritual liberation, because you're bowing down to a power other than the divinity that lives within yourself. Fear is reverence. If anyone wants to go to the dictionary and look up the definition of fear, it will say awe, revering. So when you bow down to fear, you are giving...
You're honoring fear. Yeah.
Another idol, correct.
Wow. That's interesting. That's good. And it's such a dichotomy, though, because we're so spoon-fed fear, in so many ways, that we have to unlearn. So yeah, that just came by my radar screen this morning, so I just wanted to bring that up. And it's like, but the people who understand that Satan isn't a reptilian, right? But they subscribe to the Satan storyline. If they're doing all of the things that they believe is right and correct and walking with Jesus, well, then they're doing the same thing that a new age person is doing, but in their context of the language and the understanding, right? So what I'm trying to say is, this awakening thing, this becoming illumined thing is in every kind of religion. We're just all doing it differently, but we're doing the same thing, right?
And when you, like you said, Nori, said so beautifully, when you follow the path, truly follow the path, I'm not talking about, if you believe God is real and that's the level you want to stop, that's okay. But you will never experience it just by going, well, I believe in God. Well, there's more to it than just believing in it. And those people, like you said, who truly walk the walk of Jesus or whoever the deity may be, when you walk it, your verbiage about what you call the devil is going to change. When you walk it, your level of consciousness is going to change. When you walk it, because your consciousness has shifted, you will no longer experience that spiritual warfare. You're not going to see the war. All you're going to see is the consciousness that's playing with itself. And now we get to step back as the observer and say, oh my God, is this what's been going on since forever?
Yeah.
And we get to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and if they're walking the path, all they're seeing is their path and making minor corrections, right? If they slightly go off the path. And isn't that what we're all doing? Trying to get to that place
Yes.
of vibration, of responsibility, so that we have the, what would the word, the privilege of going to the Book of Records or to the Akashic Records or whatever each person aspires to.
I'm sorry, you cut out on me. Ask the question again, please.
I did. I'm not sure if I can even repeat it. We're all doing the work for a different reason. Some of us want to be responsible to be able to go to the Akashic Records, and other people just want harmony in their life, or they want to make sure their child is raised well. So we're all doing it for different reasons, but there are multiple levels of attainment.
Yes, and actually, yes, and if we want to take those different reasons down to the one, there really is only one. For example, if I was to ask someone to write a list, a get clear list, to write everything that you want to work on, and on another column you write everything you want to remove. So eventually you just drop all the things I want to remove, I'm not interested in. And so we have 10 sentences of what is most important to me. I want a new car. I want more financial abundance. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And then finally you write, I want peace. But as we start deleting one sentence per day, after 10 days, we're left with the last one. If the last one is, I choose peace, then the other 9 fell under the umbrella of all that. So really what we all want is spiritual liberation. Different. Yes, it's beautiful. It's so simplistic. We've become so difficult. And something that came into my heart for you or anyone to answer the question you put, Nori, was about walking the path. And when we walk the path, when we're conscious of the path, every step we take will be sure. We will always be sure of every step when we are conscious of the path. You stub your toe, and that moment, no big deal. Don't judge yourself. You just went unconscious for a moment. You stepped out of consciousness. Anytime trouble comes in your life, it came in because of your unconsciousness. So every time when we're illumined, we absolutely know where to step every step we take.
Right, or we don't take that step until we are guided to take the step, right?
And sometimes we try our best and we stub our toe, and the next time we make that decision, we realize, there's a piece of furniture. So now we deviate, like you said, we find the process, and we now meander down the path of whatever twists and turns and move through whatever blocks. Yeah.
So underneath it all, everybody wants peace, freedom, love, and all of that really is answered by that spiritual attainment. Everybody might not agree, but I know you and I are in agreement with that. And we just get distracted along the way. You know, we get distracted by society and the way we were raised and the family cultures, and no, you have to make this amount of money a year, and you have to have a car, and you have to get married, and you have to do this, and some of those things take us off the path of attainment.
We like stuff.
We like stuff. We do like stuff.
And we like thinking. And thinking is, thoughts are things. And if we like thoughts, then we like things. So if we like the things out there, it's because we like the thoughts in our head that distract us and bring us into those things. And that's cool. I love the word. I live my life as a full-time musician, human being. I have a blast with my life.
Yeah.
I have drinks with my friends. I do the human knucklehead things because I've learned from me to be fully human. And I'm sure as heck working on becoming fully divine every day of my life as much as I can when I'm conscious. And when I'm not conscious, I stub my toe as well. And then I redirect and I try again.
Exactly. And I love that you bring the physicality into it, because that's something that I think is so important right now, because, you know, we were all in the consciousness or the spiritual or the new age arena with a lot of focus, right, you know, in our head and out of our head. And we kind of disconnected from the body and the benefit that the body can, that test with the president thing is going off right now here. But this body is a divine vehicle. And if we partner with this body, if we co-create with this body, it will help us even get further in our trajectory for spiritual. Do you think?
You just explained everything I said at the beginning of the interview when I said Ya, Na, Va.
Wow.
When we incorporate the divine into the body, Ya is the heart, it's will. So at the Godhead, the aspect of me, I am using my will to anchor into this body, Va, the backbone.
Beautiful.
But I'm using Na, my intellect, to make sense of all this, to process all this, and to spin everything for the highest good. Heart, God, Ya, will. Na is the mind, the ability to discern would be a good word.
Yeah.
To understand and to make wise choices.
Yeah.
To be conscious while we're in Va, backbone, so we can take action on this earth as divine human beings. Lovely.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's amazing. Because I think for a lot of us, you know, when we first started learning about law of attraction and conscious creation, you know, we're all sitting envisioning, you know, waiting for that thing to drop out of the air to us. And the part that often got left out was that we have to take action in the body. We have to take inspired action, and we have to be conscious of the signal, right? When the little voice says, go get gas now. And you're like, oh, why am I going to go get gas? I don't need to get gas now. But you happen to follow that intuition, and you meet somebody at the gas station, and you're like, wow, this is divine. This is divine intervention.
Yes. We're being spoken to all the time.
Yeah.
There's no one on this planet that God is not speaking to. The person in the room next to you when they talk, God is telling you something. It's so simply laid out. I mean, it's like when you try too hard, you overshoot the target, because the target is not this. It's not a target. It's not something you targeting. It's something that you just stop the noise in the mind, stop the noise of your life, stop telling yourself the long-winded story you've been telling yourself. And in the silence, the new world appears. I read a post from something that Albert Einstein said today. Everyone knows me that knows that I'm always about silence. When we get out of the noise, the new world appears. I saw one of Einstein's quotes today. It says, I thought 99 times and nothing happened. I began to swim in the sea of silence, and the answer came crystal clear.
That's the truth. That's the truth. But especially right now, okay, so I find it to be such a dichotomy, because here we are, so many of us are trying to reach our highest state of spirituality, and at the same time, we have the most physical, earthly, chaotic, you know, distraction on the planet. I mean, I stopped watching TV. I stopped watching the news because it pulled me out of where I needed to be. You know, I'm a humanitarian. I am a nurse down into my DNA. I'm a healer. So when I see things on TV that makes me go, oh my God, I want to help them. And, you know, it pulls me out of my balance where I'm truly of service to people. What would you recommend for people who are having that problem, who are just like not only distracted, but they need to go to, you know, Reactors Anonymous, because I'm seeing people are so reactive. You say one thing about a political party, one thing about a person, and people are arguing. You know, what would you say to help them?
If you're watching TV, if you are a TV watcher, mainstream news, pick your favorite or your worst channel, I don't care which one. If you're watching the news, I'd say if you're watching the news, period, other than to just check into the system real quick to see what might be valuable that I need to know about for my life and for the highest good of those around me. I get that. If it's 6 o'clock and you just got home from work, and you can't wait to sit down and watch the news, you have a problem.
Thank you.
Your problem is you have an addiction.
Right.
Keith, did you really say that? Yes. If you watch the news every day, one way you can show yourself your addiction is don't watch the news for a week.
Yeah.
And watch the withdrawals that happen to you. And when you come to that level of realization, it's the only way you're going to have the opportunity to go to whatever club you want to call it, AA, Anonymous.
Right, News Anonymous.
You can't wait to get back into the news because I tried it for a week and it's driving me crazy. You're in the fight.
Right.
It's the fight.
Right.
The news is the fight. They're fighting you. They want you to fight it, and they want you to fight everyone you come in contact with, and they're dividing the country. Not they're dividing the country. They're influencing you to make the decision to believe what they tell you that divides you inside.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So if you are addicted to TV, then it means you're not truly, no pun intended, dialed to the right station and plugged in to the reality, because you are watching programming. You're being programmed. We all know the little cliches, but this truly is the dynamic that is taking place. And no matter how much you can watch, just watch it because I like being current. It's grating on your spirit. It's going inside of you and grabbing your soul, and it's pulling it apart piece by piece as if it was flesh.
Yep. Yep. And that chemical reaction that happens when we watch the news, it's very, you know, it's adrenaline. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. And, you know, and we have this heightened state of awareness in our own head, but you can become addicted to that. And once you take the 99% thinking, the 1% silence, once you take the silence and you find the magic there, you find the connection there, you don't like that adrenalinized feeling anymore. And you realize, oh my God, all of the times I got worked up over the news or yelled at the TV, I didn't feel good. You don't know it until you have something to compare it to.
Well, oh, totally agree. But here's where everybody gets caught in the trap. Welcome to the human condition. That is not being a negative. I'm telling you the truth. Welcome to the human condition. You have asserted yourself in a world that does this. Our job is to be that, while the world around us does this. But from parents who whipped our ass, society who whipped your ass, the government who's kicking your ass, so forth and so on, as we were this as children, we started doing this too. Right. So now we're calling it this. And everyone and it's not always the good side. For most people, it's the negative side of the emotional bandwidth. And so since they're in that, they have no idea what this side feels like whatsoever. Right. And we all like movement. So if I can't if I can't feel good, God damn it, I'm going to feel something.
Right.
I have to feel this negative movement. I want to feel something moving so I can feel at least somewhat that I'm alive and have some awareness about my existence. Because not only if you're negative, and on top of that, nothing's moving, that would be depression.
Yeah. Wow.
So most people don't know how to move into the feel-good spectrum, into the light. One, they don't even know what the light is.
Right.
So they don't even have a curiosity about it. And if they did have a curiosity about it, they have no idea how to do it. And if they want to do it and ask someone, now they're scared to death because it goes against the doctrine they were taught when they were feeling bad as children.
Right.
So people are getting slammed with damned if I do, damned if I don't, everywhere they step.
Right. And then they go back to what's familiar, which is the insanity and the adrenaline and the hamster wheel.
Yes. Yes. Bless you. Yes.
Exactly. I know for me, you know, I consciously made the decision to get off the hamster wheel and that. And every time I would get close to seeing what it's like, I had nothing to compare it to, Keith. And because I had no point of reference, I thought I was dying. I had nothing to compare it to. So I was like, well, this must mean I'm dying because that's the only other thing. I don't know what it feels like. So, yeah. But continuing to go back into the pain, right? The pain of the insanity of that, you know, that adrenalinized world. Finally, the pain was so much that I was like, you know what? If that means I'm going to die, then I'm going to go ahead and die, because I didn't want to live in that world anymore. And once I made that step, I was like, okay, I'm still here. Yeah. And then it became easier. So is this what you help people to do? Because you can't do it on your own. I mean, unless you're like extremely brave and you have a role model that you're following or something, you know, it's a tough journey if you're doing it by yourself.
The decision we make is on our own.
Right.
The people around us help. My time with Swamiji yesterday, he said it's all about unity, because everyone, the one is for the all and the all is for the one. So it's all about us dancing in harmony and being this human symphony together. Everybody is a support system for everyone. But you can take your liberation of spirituality and per se not need anyone, but it requires being devout. It requires I accept any help that comes my way to make me aloft and lift me up.
Yes.
But I don't need that, because I am all I need. The person you have always been looking for is you. The person you have always been looking for is you. The person we have always been looking for is we. It's us, it's me, it's them. So what I like to do to work with people, I'll talk to you, I'll listen. If you tell me the story 3 times, I'm going to stop you lovingly and abruptly and say, I don't want to hear it anymore. That's not what you are. And then they have a tendency, like we just talked about, to go back into the pain because that's something. So they want to repeat the story again. And then the masculine teacher comes out of me and says, you're living in noise. So I lovingly support people and pull information out of them and help them see their beauty. But if it requires me to pick you up and grab you and throw you into the moving river when you're scared of water, if that's what it takes, I will do that. So you can see for yourself, you know, you're in a moving river now. You have a choice to swim or drown.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really about getting permission from someone, and whatever, if once they give me permission, whatever it takes, I will do everything, and I will never leave you until we meet our objective, which is to you to be able to say, thank you for throwing me a life ring when I was starting to go underwater and choke. Exactly. And now that someone have their own empowerment, I send them away. And if you need to come back a little later, come back, talk to me, tell me how you doing, tweak, like we talked about, meander around in the bath, and everybody moves up together. And next thing you know, we're all living in the light, and heaven on earth is happening, and all of our struggles have been forgotten.
Yes, I love that. And it's so interesting that you mentioned rivers. That was in my prayers this morning. So I was like envisioning you throwing people into the river of life. And I mean, what a gift that is, you know. Yeah. But we
And
are all.
the river of life's current can be turbulent. It can be rapids. If you're like a stone that resists the river's flow, it will create rapids. It will create trouble. But that same powerful river that's kicking your ass, if you put your oars down from your boat, stop paddling, the current's going to turn you and push you downstream, because nothing we want is upstream. Only thing upstream is a bear that will eat you like a salmon.
Exactly. So it takes surrender. It takes belief, right, that everything that I want is downstream. Then I have to surrender, right? I have to let go of those oars, because, you know, I was so addicted to those oars because that's all I ever knew, right? It was the paddling. And then you have to trust to let them go. And then when you see that it does bring you to all the right places, then right backbone, you're moving through the world and showing up at all the right places at all the right times, right?
Yes, pain leads to suffering. Suffering leads to death. That's why people are scared. Here's a piece of spiritual wisdom for you. You're going to die anyway.
Right.
Get over it. You are going to die. That's a fact. So if you make yourself okay with your mortality, you will no longer live in pain. You will no longer live in suffering. Most of the time, more so than not, these models are self-induced. Pain. What is this thing in my body? Well, I'm okay. I'm honestly okay with the word pain, because pain means I broke my arm. Damn it, it hurts. That's pain. Suffering, soul understands pain. Soul does not understand suffering. Suffering is self-induced.
Right.
So we can even take it another step further. If we want to get out of pain even, no longer label it as pain. And if you stub your toe, or whatever it is you do that hurts like a son of a bitch, immediately start breathing into the pain, or the feeling rather, and no longer label it as pain. Tell yourself, oh my God, all this is just intense feeling. And now that you're taking the pain out of it, you're left with raw power.
Exactly.
A raw power that has no longer an influence over you, and no longer seeing it as pain, you're going, oh my God, I am so humble to this power. Energy, this force.
Yes. And, you know, that reminds me, what immediately popped in my mind was this piece of Lance Armstrong's book, when he was in the hospital again, you know, for the testicular cancer. And he was in so much pain, and, you know, he'd been around the circle with it to the point where he was exhausted. And the way that he wrote it was so powerful, Keith, but he literally went into every aspect of his pain. He went into the cancer until he welcomed both, and then he began healing.
Years ago, Nori, 1998, I'm sleeping. About 8 o'clock in the morning, I decide I'm going to toss and turn.
Oh, Keith, I just lost your audio for a minute.
Boy, was I wrong. When I moved again the second time, I was in a full kidney stone bout for 11 excruciating hours.
Yeah, that's painful. Woo.
I had this for 2 weeks. So one day I decided, when I had an episode happening, I laid down on the bed and I did exactly what we talked about and exactly what you said about Lance. I saw myself resisting, ow, 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 it hurts, and I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And I decided to breathe into it, bring my awareness into the room that I don't like the color paint on the walls. If you don't like the color paint on the wall in a room, you will never change it on the outside. You have to go inside to paint the walls to change your experience of your room. So I went inside the kidney stone pain, and I saw how much I was resisting and how much I was calling it pain and how much pain led to my idea of suffering. And then even the levels I don't understand, past lives, my deaths or whatever, that, oh my God, this means hospital. Hospitals mean people die. All this multifaceted, fanciful, nonsensical ideas. And I started to breathe in experience. And I realized that my pain led to suffering, led me to the inevitability of death. When I came to that state of realization,
Ah.
right?
Yeah.
It stopped. And I've had a strainer. I used the restroom. I strained my urine. Never had a stone. I have no doubt that I dissipated that stone in that moment. Same as you mentioned, the cyclist, Armstrong did.
Yes. Yes. Amazing. Amazing. So now that we're talking about the body, I heard of people who don't eat, who don't sleep, who gaze at the sun. Is that what Swamiji does? No.
Yes, I love, and I thought about it. I thought about taking up the spiritual practice of sun gazing and breatharianism. I just realized I like food.
It's part of the physical.
I just like food.
Yeah.
And people who practice sun gazing and breatharianism, they reach many levels of illumination. Swamiji, hopefully my dear friend Tom, is going to insert a couple of images that I'm going to send you. Hello, Tom. Really soon. Of Swamiji, so you can see him up close on the screen. He does not eat. He doesn't stare at the sun. He doesn't have to eat. He doesn't have to stare at the sun. He is the food. He is the sun. He is the light. He doesn't eat. He just does not eat. As long as I've been knowing him, yesterday's the first time I saw him take a sip of water.
Really?
Because we were in a room, there was a ceiling fan spinning. We live in the most pollinated state and city in America or in the world. Memphis, Tennessee, there's yellow dust everywhere. And I'm sure he was just coughing.
Sure.
He asked me to turn the camera off for me, and I did. And he drank some water, and he doesn't eat, doesn't.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I've
He's
read about
alive. He told my friend Anjana, who's been God's secretary 30 years, he told her one night at 10 o'clock tonight, after 10 o'clock, don't let your son, Anoop, don't let him come knock on my door. Don't let him into the room. So Anoop, being just a little boy, he says, what would happen if I do? Swamiji says, you will not understand what you see. On this particular night, that happens once a year, Swamiji, Sathya Sai Baba, Jesus, Buddha, whoever the masters are,
wow.
from around the universe, they all come together, listen to this, and they select one person on the planet who in that moment has the purest intention, and they pump their light through that individual out to the world.
Wow.
That's why he didn't want Anoop to come in, because he probably wouldn't even look human. He'd probably look like gosh knows what.
Sure, sure. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow.
And when you're around a person like this,
Yeah, no words.
none.
Wow.
The light drapes you. It's like being cloaked with your own divine garment. There is no way when you are in his physical presence that you could cut up. There's no way. Can't happen. It's not because you feel bad if you do. It's not going to happen, because what happens inside of you when you are around the light is you become the light itself, and none of that foolishness that we all carry can even dwell in our matrix. It is so saturated with light, it becomes dissipated.
Yeah.
At least for that moment. And then when you go home and Swamiji goes away for a year, that light lingers and it lingers, and it's so encrypted with spiritual information about your life and the potential of what we can become, that between now and the time I see Swamiji, or it doesn't have to be a man's physical, you can create this with an altar in your house, because it really has to do with your intention. I have the intention to create a lifestyle to where I'm able to be around a divinely illumined man. If you have the intention to create an altar that is about your divine illumined deity, you can live in that grace and that bliss every day of your life by sitting in your own home.
Right, right. And I think about this. And I think about pray all the time. So there was a time where I go, oh God, you can't pray all the time. You know, I've got to work and I've got to do this. But I understand you can pray all the time, because when you're praying, you're just in that certain alignment, and you can do the rest of your life from that alignment if you practice.
That was delicious, Nori. That's exactly what it is, because our life is an ongoing prayer. You are never not in prayer.
Right.
Because everything we think, everything we feel, everything we do, conscious or not, is being offered up by saying, here's, make an analogy, here's God on a higher plateau, and here's humans. So everything I do as I walk around the earth, I'm offering up that this is who I am. And loving creator, unconditional loving creator says, if that's what you want, my child, because I love you, here's a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
So we're always in prayer. So if we're by default in prayer, when we become conscious, as you're saying, Nori, deliberately, now you can wield the entire universe by your will, by using your intellect, and using your backbone to carry it forth. Ya, na, va. It's the three primordial sounds. They're sacred seed syllables is what they are.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes, it's just this beautiful, simple thing when we understand it from that place, and instead of trying to read scripture after scripture, to pray to God and say, I know everybody reads scripture differently, so help me decipher what this means for me. And then we put the book on the shelf and it collects dust and cobwebs. And then everyone, like a parrot, just simply wants to recite in rhetoric just the same old stuff over and over, and never do the work to say, this is how it's supposed to be. I'm never going to be superior because I always feel inferior. That is not spiritual growth.
Right, right.
At all.
To me, that's like trying to wrench it in, right? That's like just trying to, you know, use your tools and wrench it in. And that's not where it happens. That's like with the Einstein quote. That's like the 99%. You're trying to think it, you're trying to force it, you're trying to rote it, right? But it's in that one moment of silence where we have really truly asked from our soul that suddenly you're like, oh, I have an idea. Let me go sit outside, or, you know, or let me just pray. Let me get on my knees. You know, whatever it is for that individual person, it will be something that is meaningful. And that's kind of when the door opens, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
I was really lucky. I didn't think I was, because I went to Catholic school all my life, and, you know, the nuns loved me, air quotes. But I would go, my mother worked in a hospital right in our backyard, and they had a chapel there. And I would go to 6 o'clock mass with my aunt, who I loved, right? 6 o'clock in the morning. So it would be freezing cold in New York. I mean, you know, snowing. We had to get the boots on, you know, walk through the snow to the parking lot, through the hospital to the chapel. And the chapel was magical. It was little, and the light would begin to come through the stained glass windows, and it was beautiful light wood, and it was just so magical. And there was a clock that I could hear, and
Oh, wow.
I would fall into this very meditative state, and that's where I learned to pray. It wasn't the, you know, stand up, sit down, kneel, stand up, sit down, kneel. It was finding that place of peace that I could open up and find God. So I was lucky, right? So for each person, when they ask, if they're just silent that one time, they'll be inspired to do something maybe they have not done before. Is that true?
Yeah, inspired comes from being in spirit, inspired in spirit. Yesterday at the question and answer with Swamiji, as he was dialoguing, he said, it is in the silence that the transmission takes place. Transmission, the mission. And the silence is when the mission or the transmission, the dialogue, the transmission between you and soul, but also your mission. The transmission that we bring through in the silence is when the new world appears. It is in the silence the new world appears. There's this story that there's this tribe of people that lived on a secluded island. And they live in a decent society. But this island is always surrounded by fog, and that fog can represent fear that chokes the heart or suffocates the mind. And so everyone who ventured out into the fog never came back. Everybody was scared of the fog, the big monster. And all the tribal elders would tell the children stories in the village about those who never came back. Monsters, or the earth ended and they fell off the edge, or whatever the story may be.
Right.
But the truth is, those who ventured into the fog never came back because they found paradise.
Wow.
And once they got out of the fog, once any of us gets out of the fog, there is no way going back into it to tell other people.
That's right.
That is their experience, and they need to do it for themselves.
Exactly.
Because I didn't come venture out to this fog and gamble with my life that I might die by that monster or fall off that earth just for you to have it easy. You got to do the work.
Yeah. My best teachers or mentors would not give me the answer. I was like, you got to answer my question. I had to learn it myself, and that's when you know you have the best teacher. Yeah, but
there's really no answer to be given. It's not like
there isn't.
Okay, remember, what's the answer? Well, here you go. Chew on that, and you're done, and I'll see you on the other side.
Right. No.
I can actually literally tell you the answer, but it won't do.
Right.
The only answer is not something you hear or something you assimilate and think about. It's something that unfolds inside, and you get the ah.
Yes.
You will never get it without the ah. In fact, if the divine comedy, or if God has a sense of humor, and your life is a joke, until you get that ah, you won't get the punchline, the divine comedy. It's just like, if your life is a riddle, if someone tells you a joke and they use words to do it, if it was so easy to get, you wouldn't say, I didn't get it, please repeat it. You would understand the words. But sometimes it requires the shift to get the joke. It's not the words that gives the joke, it's the shift.
That's so good. That's amazing.
It's the shift.
That's amazing. The answer is the experience, or the choice of taking the experience.
Yes. And the more we keep opening up the experience, whoa, I just got a glimpse. Whoa, I just got a bigger glimpse. And the more we start exercising that spiritual muscle, the balloon gets bigger and bigger, and it may shrink a little bit, and you just finally, you have yourself in a situation where your awareness is so expanded that I hear the air conditioner behind me. I'm aware of the taste in my mouth in this moment. I feel the temperature in my skin. Even though I'm looking at the camera, I feel the weight of this ring on my finger. I see the Buddhist light. I am aware. I am aware of my complete surroundings because I am awakened. I can feel it. I can feel the energy movement. I can feel the dynamic. I can feel how my words are affecting this tapestry.
Yes.
It's a very, very powerful place to be in. And when you use responsibly, you become a beacon, and then your life becomes so freaking amazingly blissful and rewarding on levels we never thought possible until we made that shift.
I love that.
Shift.
Is that in your book? Is that in your book?
No.
No? Wow. Here comes another book. Amazing. Amazing. So your book is The Divine Principle. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know there's magical stuff in there that would lead to this.
The Divine Principle is a book about you. Though the book is basically God and I are having a dialogue for 8 years. I did not rip off Neil Donald Walsh. I was working on my book for a year before Neil ever came out with his first book. But God and I are having a dialogue for 8 years through meditation. That being said, that's not what this book is about. This book is about you, the plural you, whoever you are. The book is about you. It is truly a golden key that if you hold in your hand and insert into your heart, and with intention, simply shift it to open, you will become a lightning rod. The book is called The Divine Principle. Subtitle is Anchoring Heaven on Earth.
Beautiful.
Becoming It. You are it, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not. We are it. There is nothing else. Anything not born out of silence is noise.
True.
And when we're silent and we be still and know, it sits with us forever.
Yeah.
Forever. Because I'm silent, I'm quiet. In the silence, the new world appears. And all of a sudden, here comes the mainstream media. And the boyfriend or the girlfriend that you just met, you have to be with them because you feel alone by yourself. Or whatever this story out here is telling you, it's taking you out of the garden, out of your soul, out of who you really are. So the Divine Principle is a book about the love that you are.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And people can find that on Amazon or centeroflightradio.com. Or
Centeroflightradio.com. Go to the tab that's labeled Creations. All of my works are there. The Divine Principle. My book about my son, Eden Sky Wonders Why, a children's book series. That's his name, Eden Sky. And For the Love of God, a spiritual journey about my trip to India to see the holy man behind me in the picture. I have 2 other companions, but those you have to contact me directly. I have musical albums, Lavender Soul, my spiritual band, which is comprised of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra members.
Wow.
We have 3 albums out. Lavender Soul is the name of the band. The music is just, it's like Enigma meets Zeppelin meets Yanni meets, it's got this spiritual drone that just keeps on.
Amazing.
It's just lovely. I will send you some when we disconnect from this presentation, darling.
Wow. That would be awesome. I love the name.
Yeah. Yes. And I have 2 movies there as well.
Wow. And you're still playing music?
Full time.
I know.
I did a gig last night at the Sheraton, downtown Sheraton, a hotel in Memphis. But I'm a full-time musician. I play all the time. In fact, you hear my talk, I'm always hoarse and smoky and raspy. It's because I sing.
It sounds good. It doesn't sound raspy. It's got that sexy, gravelly tone, yeah. I had a question that just flew out of my head.
I'm patient.
How do you work with people? That's what I wanted to ask you, because I saw something about you talking about your sessions with people. How does that work?
Well, they may come to me for a reading. I'll give them a taste of what I can do. Or they may come to me to tell me that they feel that they're being attacked by a dark force. So first, let me find out why you're coming to me. That's the first thing. And the second thing is they can't wait to tell you their story because they're contacting because, oh, I'm so excited. I want to visit with my deceased loved ones. Oh, I'm so excited because there's something dark in my house. So they can't wait to start talking and tell you about this. That's why they contact you. And what they do not realize is that within their, oh my God, I can't wait to tell you this thing as to why I contacted you, Keith. They tell me everything I need to know, even though they don't know they're doing it.
Yeah.
Because they're going unconscious. And so now I can actually hear the truth of what's happening because they're out of the way. They're just rattling. And I'm hearing the stuff.
Yes.
I did an interview with talk with someone the other day. The first thing they said was, well, there's this thing in my life that I'm suffering from. No, I'm not really suffering. My mind is, you just told me exactly what you're doing. You telling me you are suffering because of your mind.
Exactly.
Then they say, well, that's not really what I meant. And then they may say, well, Keith, you did catch me. Good one. Or they may say, no, that's really, then now they're in denial. Yeah. So it really depends on the person. It depends on their willingness to have peace at all costs.
Yes. Yes.
Some people like the movement. Some people like the story because they know that letting the movement and the story go requires them to die. They have to die, literally. In order to accelerate, to elevate, to lift, you have to die. You have to, an aspect of you has to die.
Okay,
and
so
no one wants to let go of what they know.
Yeah. I was going to ask you to qualify that for people who are just hearing this kind of concept for the first time. So there is an aspect of your beingness or of your habitual self that has to die. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's not comfortable initially.
So when we let that aspect of us die, you're going to get more rewards than you think. One, when you let the aspect of you die, you're not going to physically die. You're still going to be alive. The second aspect is you're going to go, oh my God, I didn't die. So now you open up to new possibilities. And then it keeps opening and opening and opening. But like I said, you can never change the color of the paint in a room that you're in if you don't change it. You have to let the paint on that wall die. You have to peel it off if that's what you need. You have to paint over it. A newness, a new color. You have to expand into the experience. Yes, you have to let the old self go. You have to let it die. And you may think, well, Keith, this is just, I'm scared. Goddamn right you're scared.
Exactly.
I was scared, but guess what's on the other side of that scared? Nothing but you. The only thing you're scared of is the thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
And what you were told and what you believe to be true and what you believe is not true because you feel that you're undeserving.
There's a big one.
And this is not just this normal cliche, well, I need to feel a little more deserving yet. No, this is the punch. The punch is you need to feel deserving. I'm not talking about these baby steps. You need to stand up and say, God dang it. Am I truly that powerful and deserve all of that? Yes. And until you shift into that yes, when you shift into that yes, it all changes. You can have yourself die immediately in the shift, or you can put yourself in a spiritual hospice for 6 months or for a year and slowly die. But if you have the cojones to want the it,
right,
that which you are,
yes,
it's truly a shift in desire. And no matter how long it takes, if you're efforting your way down that path, I'm so happy for you. But it can happen for you in a holy moment, in a holy instant. You can.
It really can.
Yes.
I love what you said, put yourself in a spiritual hospice, because you can do that. There are some people who are like, no, I have to take it slow. And that's really good. But eventually they're still going to come to that time, right, of decision where they have to make the shift. And even if you've been in hospice, it's still going to be a little scary.
Yeah, hospice doesn't cushion it. It just buys you more time to be in afraid mode. Slow, softer and softer and softer and softer until it's finally gone. I'd rather cut the tree down than whack at each branch.
Yeah. So, oh good, you're back. You were froze for one moment there. So people can come to you for a reading. They can come to you for guidance.
Yes.
Do you work with people like in a mentorship fashion, or how does?
I am actually taking on apprentices.
You are.
But it requires one thing. I'm not into jacking around.
I knew that.
Right. But if whoever comes to me, I am not into jacking around. I'm serious. And when you reach that level of seriousness, that place right there, and you may not know how, and that's okay. That's what I am here to do. I will lovingly show you the path. Actually, what I will do is lovingly show you yourself.
Yes, exactly.
There's nothing else.
Exactly.
Don't resist my teaching, or me. Actually, don't resist yourself to take in nourishment. Because if that's the case, it's not about me being arrogant. I'm not here to collect followers.
Right.
I'm here to empower you so that you can lead your own way. Lead yourself into the garden of your soul. If you want that, I'll give it.
I have not had one mentor who was easy, because you are earning the responsibility. So it's not sugar-coated and, unicorns and stuff like that. It's an uphill path sometimes. You know, and you have to be willing to do the work.
Yes, because no matter how much we try to sugarcoat our stuff, our stink, bullshit with chocolate, with bullshit with sprinkles,
Still bullshit.
still bullshit.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so it requires want to become pure in thought, word, and deed. To understand that what we know, what you know, is nothing. You know nothing.
Exactly.
And that level of humility and surrender is everything. Because the only way we can attain something we don't possess is to be open to it. So if I want to become one with my Creator, who is everything, I have to be open to all possibilities. That what I claim to know about my life is squat. Because if I knew it, I would be the it already. And so the wisest teacher in the world says, I know nothing. That creates a posture inside to say, make me a channel of the truth. Make me a channel of your peace. Make me a channel of the moving life stream that since my birth, I've been unaware of. Push me nicely in it, or grab me and throw me into it. Either way, I want into the river.
Amazing. Amazing. So it's always been this way for you, even when you were little, or when did that happen for you?
I was a kid, a little shit kid. Got into trouble, not a lot, but my share of being an adolescent. You know, breaking windows or throwing rocks at things and breaking whatever. I did all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, wanting to aspire to a professional musician, and I started living that lifestyle. I did all of it.
Right.
And it took a relationship. My first major relationship that lasted for 10 years.
Wow.
For it to go belly up, to be left with nothing. I was an aspiring musician, so I had no job. She was my sex, she was my food, she was my transportation, she was my shelter, she was all that. When all that went away, nothing.
Yeah.
And I was in a dark night of the soul for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I found a way to talk to Creator, to have him respond. He, she, it, that, whatever it is. For a month, I said, I need to hear your voice. And I meant it. I meant it.
Yes.
3 weeks later, I had an absolute experience. I was thrown into the light, coming out of sleep. And the voice was present. The voice, when I say voice, I don't mean it's speaking, though it did.
Yes.
The voice was, I could see the voice. I could smell the voice. I could hear the voice. I could taste the voice. I could feel the voice. It was everything and everywhere. It was me.
Yes.
There was no separation whatsoever.
Wow.
And because of my intention, my passion and my sincerity to shift is what opened up that universal door to me. It wasn't 3 weeks of me chanting this prayer that God says, I think he's serious. I'm going to come down there and pay him a visit. He's convinced me he's serious.
Yeah. No.
God became my slave when I said, I am serious. There's no way God could not.
Wow.
I summoned my Creator to me.
Yes. Yes. I can only imagine. I mean, sometimes it takes, the pain of nothingness, in order for us to go, okay, now what? Okay, you have my attention. Where are you? Where are you? I'm quiet.
That's truly such an amazing time, because we can take the path on our own and experience just what you said, Nori. Or through the pain, when there is nothing left, that means that everything is now possible. Because we're no longer living the part of us that is dying. The person that we have resisted to die, when you found out that relationship was going to break up, you resisted because you didn't want that experience to die. But when it finally dies and you have nothing left, you are on hyper fertile field.
Exactly.
Because you have no agenda. You just came out of torment and angst for 2 years in a dark night of the soul and depression, and finally you catch your wind, breath.
Yeah.
God is breath. You catch your wind.
Yeah.
Now I can start making a little bit of sense of my life today, because I think that's all behind me.
Mm.
Where do I start? You don't know where to start. That is amazing because you are swirling in the void. Everything is possible. God is present in possibility for you now. That's why they say the only place I can go from here is up. Up. It's a shift. It's truly an exaltation of the self. And you do that just by wanting it. And I do this often. I say, when you can use your life metaphorically and or literally, stand off of your chair and declare, when you make that kind of declaration about your life, this thing we call Jesus, Buddha, God, Krishna, all that is good, source, creator, will slam you.
What do you mean slam?
It will hit you in such a way. It will open you up. It will split you in half. It's so delicious and beautiful. And it's so powerful. People think this God energy is just this big muscle and this might, and it's God. That's not what it is. In fact, that is so the opposite of what it is. There is muscle and might, right, but it's not in the form that you think. The muscle and the might comes in the, it's in there. It's in there. In that little bitty place, in that singularity. It's like a grain, one grain of sand on the beaches of this entire planet. It's in that thing. And if you can find the passion and the sincerity to let go of the stuff so much so that you're able to make yourself so small and humbled by how insignificant you are, you will actually allow yourself to fall into the subtle, powerful aspect of who you really are, which is the cosmos. It's you. It's not about the earth. All life is beginning to integrate. Deceased loved ones, angelic beings, alien beings, humanity. It's beginning to fuse together. And God bless Swamiji Mr Yogi said last night or yesterday for the question and answer, he said, peace is going to happen.
Oh, beautiful.
He said world peace is going to happen. He predicted, not predicted, that's the wrong word. My apologies, Swamiji. He said last year, North Korea and South Korea are going to come together. He said last year, and I didn't say Donald Trump, he said, and he's not supporting Trump, and he's not unsupporting Trump. He's just stating the facts.
Yes.
That the United States and North Korea are going to start shaking hands. He said about what happened in Thailand with the president, and he says that. And he says in the question and answer, it's on video if anyone is interested. You can see it on my personal Facebook wall.
Oh, great.
He says, peace is going to happen. And he even said it's very likely the dialogue between the heads of countries, the heads of the world, the leaders of the world, are going to have these meetings about bringing world peace in the White House.
Wow. Wow.
He calls, even though he's Indian, he calls the United States the brain of the world.
Really?
The United States is going to lead the world in its decision-making process when we come together as a united humanity. It doesn't mean, well, why does the United States get to be the leader? I mean, shouldn't China be the leader? That's not how it works. It's not about the United States being better.
Right.
It's about the consciousness that the United States has as to why it carries out that role. China has a consciousness as to why they will carry out their role. Right. Russia has a consciousness as to why everyone has an equal role to play. Yeah. But he just used that example that these peace talks will probably happen in the White House.
Amazing. Wow. 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 I have to see that in your wall.
I'll send it to you in an instant message.
That'd be great. Wow. That's
It's
amazing.
happening. It's changing. And for all those out there, you know, you may watch this interview and go, well, this Keith guy, I understand his spirituality, but he is fired up. Fire up with me. Fire up with me. And if you got something for me, please share it with me, because I want to fire up into your experience as well. I want what you have for me. I do. I am in this for real.
Yeah.
It's happening now.
Yeah. It is happening.
Can't wait for a major event to happen to give us an excuse to be afraid or to be ecstatic. It's happening now. Don't miss this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. How can people contact you? How can people reach you?
Keith Anthony Blanchard at gmail.com, or you can go to centeroflightradio.com, or you can go to keithanthonyblanchard.com, and just choose to contact me for him. But you can always contact me at keithanthonyblanchard@gmail.com to ask me for a free session, to move through a block, to help ask me questions about how you can begin to open up to greater capacities of this or that. Whatever it is you are interested in that makes you feel powerful and blissful as to why you might need a sounding board like myself, you can contact me at keithanthonyblanchard@gmail.com and say, Keith, I would love a free session with you. Mm-hmm. And your wish is my command, just like that. Boom.
That's beautiful. And this is the kind of thing where you go, I don't know, there's something I have to think about. Usually this kind of thing with a person like you, you know, who has the gifts that you have, it's like, oh yeah, I have to call him. I have to call him. So I can
guarantee that, like you said, Nori, I know this may sound, what is in this as to why it's being portrayed here, this level of a teacher is giving something away. Something doesn't seem right here. Contact me for a free session. You don't owe me anything.
Even if, say that again, even if they feel like something doesn't seem right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if something doesn't seem right, in other words, there's got to be some serious money involved in this somewhere, or there's an agenda as to why someone would give out such information. I am so devoted to my life's mission, charged by Swamiji Mr Yogi.
Yeah.
I have no choice.
Yeah.
I have to be of service for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
And if you book a session with me and it doesn't cost you anything, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yes, everything.
Because the only thing I have invested in this is my love affair with humanity.
And I will be very surprised if people cannot feel that. Definitely feel that from you, and just so grateful, you know, for you and for your path, and that you're here, you know, now, and very importantly now, you know, shining the light for everybody. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. You know, thank you for shining your light, and thank you for being here at this moment in time. You know, it's such a pivotal moment in time, and that's why I wanted to talk to you again, you know, just you and I and everybody else.
You are a phenomenal interviewer. You are a phenomenal light. You know, I understand the interviewer host role, but I know there's more inside of you than just that host that asks these really good questions. I can see your luminosity, dear. I can see it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here for a reason. I'm answering the call as well. Yeah. So, but we'll definitely talk again, and I will look forward to hearing Lavender Soul, your band. Amazing. Amazing. And your book, Divine Principle for the Love of God, and the children's series, Eden Sky Wonders Why, all on Amazon or KeithAnthonyBlanchard.com.
Yes.
Oh, Keith, my life is made better for this hour and a half we've spent together. Thank you.
Wow.
True, true.
Just like that, an hour and a half.
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Ish, yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
I love you.
Love you back. Seriously. Thank you.